because look,
Here
we've waited this long in the show. We got to talk about it. Last week, the SEC had north of an 80% chance, I think it was, to send 4 or more teams to the playoff. That has dropped below 50% after the chaos. I'm going to keep it open-ended here, guys. Maddie, I'll come to you. Why has there been so much parity in this conference this year?
We're used to seeing in the SEC 2 or really 1 just dominant football team that just essentially runs through everybody and is that much deeper as far as a football team. And that is because of what we've seen from Nick Saban. That is the one-off years that we've seen at Ed Orgeron and the LSU Tigers, right? The Gene Chizik years with Auburn and Cam Newton and how special they were, right? But really it's all about Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and how they've just been so dominant.
Yeah.
That is no longer the case in the SEC. I think the league is just, it's too spread thin. There's too many good players across the league.
Yes.
It is too difficult to be consistent throughout the season. The strength of schedule thing to me is apparent. The top 25 strength of schedule teams, 13 of them are in the SEC. The other Big 10, Big 12, and ACC teams that are in the top 25, all of them have average records.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where when we look at this playoff committee and all these highly ranked teams in the ACC and the Big 10, well, guess what? All of them are that 31th and higher ranking of strength of schedule. So the SEC really is just kind of pillaging themselves at the moment.
Does it mean that this is a down year for the SEC, Scoob, or not necessarily?
I think the SEC just opened up a can of whoop-ass on itself. That's really what it is when you look at it.
No doubt.
And to Matt's point of it being spread thin, I said this on Saturday. I think with the way that college football has gone, with NIL, with the transfer portal,
for sure,
teams don't have as much depth as they did before. The veteran guys are going to play on other teams. Indiana, Colorado, what do they do in the transfer portal? They all brought in veteran guys, and I think everyone else is just playing better football because the talent isn't all stacked up on one roster, which has led to more parity within the SEC, and I think it's just been a lot of fun to watch.
There is no 2020 Alabama. There's no 2019 LSU. To your point, like, it just doesn't feel like there is an elite team. But I'll give you the argument against the SEC right now because I think there is one to be made. It's a double-edged sword playing in this conference. You mentioned all the talent that is in the SEC. Oklahoma has probably 15 to 20 SEC prospects. Auburn, same thing. They could show up and hurt you on any given night. But the problem that I have with folks saying, well, put Ole Miss in the Big 12 and see what they can do in that conference. The problem with that argument is if Ole Miss was playing in the Big 12, they don't have the access to the resources that they otherwise would have by playing in the SEC. So it's one of those scenarios where it's like
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Sure.
Yep,
so there's a blessing and a curse to playing in this conference.
No, there definitely is.
Yeah, there is.
And it's difficult. It really is. And I think, of course, me being a Tennessee Volunteer, I'm a little biased, obviously, to this whole situation of the SEC because I know how difficult it is too. And I know that I was actually on one of the teams that was on the bottom of the barrel of that league. And, we were in an opportunity where we almost beat a LSU in a game.
It's a perfect example.
And they were a team that was way more talented than they were. But that day, we were like the little Giants. We had that one chance, all right? But still, I respect this conference so much. And unfortunately, a lot of teams that needed to take care of business this past weekend, a la Ole Miss in the Florida game, right? They just didn't do it. Right,
yeah.
and that's unfortunate. Congratulations to Billy Napier. That was a phenomenal win for his program. But like Lane Kiffin and others, they haven't risen to the occasion to take over and control their own destiny as the season has gone on. And they've had a few situations where they've had too many self-inflicted wounds in these big games.
Shout out to everybody that's out in the YouTube chat. Subscribe, like, smash. We are also on Saturday's college football show. You can tap in with us as we have these conversations. I just want to point out Joel Nye, what he said. He said, just imagine how many of the games in late November that would have been worth